How's it going, guys? So as you can see by this shot, today was a beautiful sunny day in Hawaii and the best time to do my 2-month rain gutter grow system update. Now before I head over to the system and show you what's going on, I wanted to highlight a plant that I forgot in my last video, and basically it's this plant here. This is called a pigeon pea plant, also known as gandule or gandule bean here in Hawaii and in places like Puerto Rico. Now, basically, what this is a tropical type of legume or tropical type of bean. And the reason I started growing this was because I was extremely unsuccessful with other types of beans in the past. I'm not sure what it was. It could be because I never really understood the basic principles of gardening when I first tried growing them. And another reason could be I wasn't using the rain gutter grow system. But I found out about what a pigeon pea was, which is basically what we know as gandule, as I said, and I found out that it does extremely well in Hawaii. So I wanted to see if I could grow it and how well it would do, um, as well as how quickly it would be or how long it would take to basically provide some seeds or beans. And as you can see, it's not in a rain gutter grow system. And one thing I want to highlight is that this plant or these plants have actually been neglected over the past 4 to 5 months. When I first seeded them and sprouted them, I used to really take care of them, and after a while, maybe it's because I got lazy, but basically I just walked away from them and let them do their own thing. And I wanted to see how resilient and hardy these plants were, and as you can see, after 5 months of neglect, they are still doing strong or going strong. There have been substantial rains over the past several weeks here in Hawaii, so they have been getting a lot of water over the past couple weeks. But like I said, I haven't been watering it. I haven't been watering them. I haven't been fertilizing them or anything like that. And as you can see with this photo, the leaves are bright green, doing very well. Now, hopefully, within the next 1 to 2 months, some seed pods will start emerging, and if that's the case, then I believe I will start propagating more of these to put in the area behind the house to act as a nitrogen fixing companion plants for the trees I plan to plant behind the house. So excited to see what happens with these guys. Really impressed with the results, and hopefully, like I said, we can have some beans in the next 1 to 2 months. All right, moving along. This is a overall shot of the system. Now, before I move on, you will notice, hopefully you can notice, the picture is kind of small, but some things are missing and some things are new. Now, the main plants that are missing from the setup that I can think of right now are the tobacco plant, the corn plant, and the beets. Now, I'm not sure why the beets didn't do too well, but they did not change since the last video, which was over a month ago. So basically, I got rid of those guys. Really disappointed that they didn't do well, but you live, you learn. So I probably won't be visiting beets anywhere in the near time future. Now, with regards to tobacco and corn, I knew they were heavy feeders, but I didn't realize how much so. So over the past couple weeks, the corn, for some reason, it just didn't take off at all. It could have been the type of the variety I had, but I've just been really unsuccessful with corn. Period. So I probably won't be visiting corn anytime in the near future, maybe in the distant future. But for now, it's a definite no. With regards to tobacco, as you saw in the original video, it was doing extremely well. It got pretty up to size. It was actually stunted a little bit, and it started to seed, but then it started to wilt and it started to get very weak. And it was because someone suggested that I wasn't feeding it enough nitrogen. Now, an important point I want to reflect on before I move on and show you the different plants is that this is my first crop in the rain gutter grow system, and I wanted to see how well the plants would do without the need for additional supplementation of any type of nutrients. So I basically, aside from my my microorganism cultures that I've sprayed maybe 2 or 3 times over the past several weeks, they have received no additional soil amendments or supplementation whatsoever. So the reason I did this was because I wanted to see of the all the plants I purchased, which ones would be the hardiest and would survive under the harshest or quote unquote harshest conditions in the rain gutter growth system. So after this experiment, I realized what would do well on basically a basic needs of good soil in the beginning and water and no additional supplementation. So I have a good idea of what I will be doing in the future with regards to subsequent crops on and which crops I will focus on. So with that, let's continue on. Now, hopefully as you guys recall from the last video, this is my amaranth plant. And as you can see in this photo, or these photos, it is doing extremely well. I'm happy to announce that it finally broke the 6 foot marker. This is the first time I've ever been able to grow amaranth over 6 feet. And as you can see in this picture of the stalk, basically, um, it's now approximately, I want to say, 2 inches, maybe 3 inches in circumference. So what is that? About 1.5 inches in diameter. Um, the plant is extremely strong, and we've had some, I guess you could say, some windstorms come through, and they were terrorizing my corn when it was still there, and they were terrorizing my amaranth. I had to come out in the middle of the night and do what I could to stake it down. I was extremely worried that the amaranth would break and it would ruin my experiment in the rain gutter grow system. But as you can see, it is doing extremely well. And in this photo, you can see that the seed head is actually quite big. This is the biggest seed head I've ever had, and it's still growing. So hopefully within the next couple weeks, it'll keep growing, and by then it should be putting out seeds. I'm hoping to get at least a quarter cup of seeds. That is about average. Maybe a half a cup of seeds, which would be substantial. So really happy with what's going on in the rain gutter grow system with regards to my amaranth. Now in this photo you can see that the leaves aren't doing too well, and I wholeheartedly believe that this is because of the lack of supplementation issue. Um, Amaranth is technically a weed, so as you can see with the overall stature of the plant, it's still going. But if I plan on using the leaves as an additional source of food or nutrients, I will probably need to start adding more supplementation in the future. Another problem, or I don't want to call it a problem, is that we've had some ants move into this bucket, and basically what they're doing is farming the aphids. Now, the ants themselves won't cause a problem, as they're just, playing gardener while I'm playing gardener, and they're farming the aphids for some type of honey-like substance or something like that they produce. But a problem with that is that they can cause the aphids to spread to other plants. But one thing to note about this, and I didn't take a picture of it, is that actually, um, since I started the rain gutter grow system, there have been a lot of ladybugs that have moved into the area. So I'm starting to see the beneficial bugs and insects start moving back in to deal with the bugs that used to terrorize my crops in the past. So even though the ants are farming the aphids, there are anywhere from 50 to 100 ladybugs on here picking up the leftovers that the ants don't, I guess, farm. So I'm really happy to see that. We'll see what happens in the future. I'm still having a problem with leaf miners and caterpillars, as you'll see, but so far so good. Alright, moving on. This next picture here is of a sweet pickle pepper that is now in the spot that the corn used to be. I believe in the last video I said I was growing sweet pickle pepper, and I was wrong. As you'll see, that was actually a sweet cherry pepper, which is a different type of pepper, and this photo is in fact the sweet pickle pepper. Now, one thing to note is you'll see two plants in here. They're kind of close together, so I might space them out in the future. What I learned is that chili peppers and chilies in general are actually they like to be grown with companion plants, such as other chili peppers. So I started doing this, and with all my chilies that I've planted and will plant in the future, and I'm seeing that compared to the plants I sowed directly into the ground that were just individuals on their own, they are doing a lot better. But I will highlight a point as we move on to the other chili peppers I'm growing and talk about something that I think might be a problem. Alright, looking at this photo, if you guys remember, the container that you see before you used to be empty, and I said that I would be growing sweet potatoes. And as you can see, the sweet potatoes here are doing actually very well. They're starting to come up. A lot of foliage is coming out, and I'm really happy with the results. Now, I said in the last video that I would be growing two types of sweet potatoes. I believe it was the yellow type and the Okinawan type. Unfortunately, because of those severe rainstorms and windstorms we had over the past couple weeks, technically a month, uh, sometime in that time frame, um, the container that I had my yellow sweet potato in, or California yams, I believe they're commonly known as, somehow got knocked over, and I didn't realize it until maybe 3 to 5 days later, and by then the foliage and the slips were dying. Luckily, the Okinawan sweet potato was still going good. It did get knocked down, at which point that I decided to go ahead and harvest the slips and get them into the ground just in case they would die. And as you can see, they're doing very well. Now, one point I want to highlight about sweet potato is that you can actually eat the leaves. So you can use it as an additional source of greens. It tastes very good, to me at least. It's extremely nutritious. So this plant can actually serve as a dual purpose plant. You can grow it for the sweet potatoes themselves, and in the meantime you can harvest the foliage to supplement your salads. So that's a point to keep in mind when deciding if maybe you want to grow sweet potato, or the cost or the benefit ratio of having sweet potato compared to normal potatoes. So hopefully in the next couple months, maybe 3 to 4 months, maybe 5 months, we'll have some potatoes in this bin, and we'll see, how well they did in the rain gutter grow system. Moving on, this is the pepper that was in the first video, the sweet cherry pepper. So as you can see, it's doing well, and in this photo you can see we're finally starting to have those sweet cherry peppers come out. Like I said, I'll address it now. So with regards to all my peppers in this system, I've noticed that they've been quite stunted, and they're starting to blossom when they're extremely small. So what I'm thinking is going on is, one, there has been too much water saturating the soil of my rain gutter grow system over the past couple weeks. There's been basically non-stop rain, and the soil has been extremely saturated. I haven't needed to, because I manually refill my rain gutter grow system, I haven't been refilling it for the past, I want to say, 4 to 6 weeks minimum, maybe even longer, because we've had so much rain. And what I'm thinking about, or what I'm thinking is that chilies really don't like it that wet. They do like water, but they don't like it super saturated where they're sold or where they're growing. So I'm thinking that's one reason for the stunted growth. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on it. It's just bro science gardening. So if I'm incorrect, please let me know. But another reason I'm thinking they're not doing well is, like I said, I haven't been adding any type of soil amendments or additional nutritional supplementation, aside from the few spray jobs I did with the microorganisms I'm cultivating. So in the future, I will be supplementing in more nutrition to all my plants. and hopefully that will help them grow. Alright, moving along. Here we have the poppy. So as you can see, the poppy is doing actually quite well compared to the last time. It's grown substantially, and when you grow a poppy, usually you want to just have it one plant per square foot minimum. And two plants actually started thriving in this pot because when I sold them, I actually sold several hundred at a time, and I just decided to let them go and duke it out. Whoever would win, and I'd collect the seeds to basically make my muffins and whatever I want to do with it. So yeah, they've been kind of competing for the sunlight. As you can see, the back one is kind of smothering out the front one, and some days this front one was smothering out the back one. It's a never-ending struggle. But in the future, I'll probably just keep them separated and within that 1 square foot area. Moving along. Alright, we're here to the superstar of the rain gutter grow system. Here we have the wild Hawaiian slash currant tomato. And as you can see, it's doing extremely well. And as you can see here, we have some tomatoes. Hopefully within the next couple weeks. Actually, I'm hoping within the next couple days, but I'm going to give it maybe 1 to 2 weeks. These guys will be ready to harvest. This first photo here is the first bunch that emerged, and they are the biggest. So I will be taking my seed stock from these guys and basically eating the rest. So this next photo you can see here, we have it highlights the different amounts we have going on. So I think I have approximately 4 bunches going with about, I want to say about 6 to 8 tomatoes on each within each bunch. So yeah, I haven't had any problems recently. I do have some mold, white mold, some type of mold or mildew or something like that growing on the leaves. I know it's highlighted in a lot of videos. Basically, I guess there's too much moisture, and like I said, we've been getting a lot of rain, but it hasn't been affecting the plant at all. And like I said in the last video, that's one of the benefits of having this type of plant, or this variety of tomato specifically, is because it's a wild variety that is extremely resilient to normal diseases that would destroy other types of tomatoes. So really happy with what's going on. Hopefully we'll have some tomatoes in the next 1 to 2 weeks. Right, moving on. Kind of depressing with this plant, but this is my California poppy. As you can see, it's grown, but it's quite sad. So I'm thinking, like I said, too much water going on, and I really don't think that California poppy is meant to be grown in a rain gutter grow system. I just did it as an experiment to see, if we could get some flowers going, maybe some additional seeds. But I'm thinking that it needs to be sown directly into the ground, and it needs a drier climate or environment. So I'm not giving up on the California poppy. What I'm planning to do is basically propagate the seeds and then transfer them directly into the ground behind the home to serve as a additional type of ground cover, and hopefully it will thrive when we do that. Moving along, I guess you could say this plant is the rain gutter grow system comeback of the month. So in my last video I talked about the eggplant and how depressing it was, just seeing it really not doing too well, and I'm glad to say that it bounced back. Really happy that it bounced back. As you can see, it has grown exponentially since the last time I talked about it. Maybe I hurt its feelings, and at night I went to the gym to go basically put on some muscle and get a little bit bigger. Not sure what happened, but it has bounced back, and as you can see by the leaves, it's extremely healthy, still going good. It was doing well like I said, it's grown quite a bit, but then it hit some type of plateau, and now it's starting to get stunted again. So maybe it just needs more time. Hopefully we can have the same results we've had over the past month, and just keep getting this guy to grow bigger and bigger. I'm not sure exactly when I can expect fruit, so I'll need to do more research on that. But hopefully, if I start adding more supplementation and soil amendments, it'll get it back on track. Alright, here's a point I wanted to talk about, or a highlight I wanted to talk about. So one thing I've noticed with some of my plants is that they have extremely shallow root systems. So as you can see in my previous and even in this current video, most of the plants, or actually until I decided to do this experiment, all of the plants had 5-gallon bucket systems. And what I realized is that those with shallow root systems are basically, in a space they don't need, and it's just wasted space, wasted material that I could be using in other 5-gallon systems. So I started thinking about it, and what I determined was I needed basically a smaller type of pot. And for some reason, one, I can't find 1 or 2 gallon pots for the life of me in Hawaii. I was thinking about calling up maybe the local producers for ice cream and whatnot, but aside from that, I can't find 1 or 2 gallon pots. And when I did look up pots online, they were just ridiculous. So I was sitting around and I was thinking, what can I do to alleviate this problem? And being that I have a massive amount of 5-gallon buckets, I said, you know what? Let me see if I can cut these guys in half and basically make my own 2-gallon buckets. That would be perfect for the rain gutter grow system, since these are a really durable type of material. So what I did was, as you can see in this photo, basically I capped the bucket. I drilled one hole in the cover, one hole in the bottom for my nut cup or my net cups, and basically cut the bucket in half. And going back to the original photo, and basically made approximately 2.5-gallon buckets. So the net cup worked perfectly, just like a regular 5-gallon bucket would. And now from one bucket now I have two, and I'm excited to try this with my other crops, like I said, with the shallow root systems. So my bok choy, my Swiss chard specifically, um, and just whatever crops have a shallow root system. And a good thing about this is that while one bucket, you have to, manhandle it and pick it up with both hands. As you can see in the bucket with the on the left, it has a handle, and it actually works perfectly because this handle will go around the entire bucket. And basically, you have a handled 2.5-gallon bucket. So the one thing I'm worried about, going back to the second photo, is the resiliency of the cover. Actually, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just worried that maybe the tension on the bucket will come loose and it'll come pouring out if I lift it up. But now that I think about it, I'm actually not too worried. I'm pretty sure this is gonna hold up, but we will see over the next couple weeks and couple months. All right, moving along. Here is my staple green crop, as you guys all know, my Swiss chard. So as you can see, the perpetual Swiss chard, which is in the middle, is basically outgrowing and dominating the bright light Swiss chard, which is on the right, the pink variety. And in this next photo, or excuse me, not this next photo, but on the left side you can't see it, but the golden Swiss chard. And because of this, I'm probably gonna focus on the perpetual Swiss chard to do more experiments to see what's going on. I just think the perpetual Swiss chard is a bigger variety. I will continue growing the the other two varieties because I'm assuming they provide different sources of phytonutrients and different nutrients that can't all be found in the perpetual Swiss chard. At least that's what I'm assuming. And I just like colorful greens. So moving on, you can see this beautiful leaf that I have going. I think this is from the perpetual. Now, one thing I want to highlight with my Swiss chard, like I said in the past, this Swiss chard is probably the sweetest Swiss chard I've ever had in my entire life. I used to actually hate Swiss chard. I used to only eat it because of the nutrition. Now I can actually enjoy it. I can pick this, wash it off, and basically I'll eat it, and it is extremely sweet. So I think it's a cation change capacity or something like that. I'm assuming it must be extremely high in my Swiss chard now, and I can say that I wholeheartedly enjoy eating this plant now. So I'm really excited to get more of these guys going and start eating more of them because I've been lacking on my vegetable intake. So hopefully within the next couple weeks I'll cut some more buckets in half and just get maybe 6 or 8 of these guys going, and just have a substantial crop of Swiss chard going. Moving on, we have the carrots. All right, so I believe the number to beat now is approximately 90, 95 or 100 carrots around there. So as I said in the last video, I did that experiment with just seeding the leftover carrot seed I had directly into the bucket, and they are actually doing quite well. As you can see in this photo, they're still quite small, but they are rooting. So really excited to see what we can get out of this. If I can get 40 carrots out of this, even if I can get 10 carrots out of this, I will call it a success, because I've never been able to propagate carrots in the past with our type of soil. So really excited to see what's going to happen in the future with the carrots. Alright, one of the new additions to the family is this plant you see here, and this is a katuk plant. Now I've been watching John Cullen's videos, specifically his new videos, while he was in Hawaii, and he talked a lot about this plant, the katuk plant. I've never heard of this plant, and I did more research on it and found out that it's actually known as a sweet leaf plant, and it's supposed to taste like peanuts, supposedly, and I'll talk about that in a few seconds. But yeah, so it's really easy to propagate, basically from cuttings, and basically it grows extremely fast. So I'm excited to see how well it will do in the rain gutter grow system. I will be doing an experiment, sowing it directly into the ground after I've achieved some success and additional cuttings, and we'll see what happens. Now here's a shot of the leaves, and I'm not sure if it's because it's an immature plant, or maybe I'm just not acclimated to the taste yet, but it does not taste like peanuts to me. So John Cullen, sorry man, you lied to me. Or maybe it could be that maybe I don't have a katuk plant, I'm not too sure, but it did not taste like what John Cullen described. But I'm hoping maybe it's just because it's a young plant. In the future, as it gets bigger, it might taste better. Like I said with the Swiss chard, I used to hate Swiss chard, and since it's been in the rain gutter grow system, it's been absolutely delicious. So I'm hoping the same thing will happen with my katuk. Alright, moving on. So, like I said, with my chilies, in this photo you'll see here, I believe, is a red Marconi pepper, and these two here, moving on, are the I believe sweet Italian, and way in the back there behind the breadfruit is giant Aconcagua. It's one of those big peppers. But yeah, so like I said with my previous highlight on the chili peppers, they've just been really stunted, and I was really disappointed that they're not doing too well. So I'm hoping with this new, we are transitioning into our dry season. So in Hawaii, we have 2 seasons. We have the wet season, which runs from, I believe, November until March, and then the dry season, or the hot season, which is from March until November. So hopefully, within the next couple months and future crops, the weather helps these guys grow up. But as you can see, they're not doing as well as I thought they would. But looking at this photo here, moving along, there are blossoms coming out. I believe this is on the red Marconi pepper. So they are growing, and they are sprouting, and they are blossoming. So I'm just gonna let these guys go do their thing. Like I said, I will be adding some soil amendments and nutritional supplementation, starting probably next week, or when I can make my fertilizer. And we'll see how well it does, and if it helps them pack up some size, and basically start producing better. All right, moving on. Here we have the breadfruit. So as you guys recall, I picked this up at the workshop, and personally, I can see it because I monitor it every day, but it has been growing substantially. I couldn't get a shot of my neighbor's breadfruit that he's had for about 6 to 8 months, maybe even longer. But I can tell you this: when I first got the plant, as you guys saw in the video, that's about the size his breadfruit is and has been for the past 6 months, at least 6 to 8 months. So it hasn't really been changing. It hasn't been really growing, and it's because he basically has it in a pot, and the roots. Breadfruit likes to spread its roots. That's how it grows, and that's how it actually propagates itself. So what I'm thinking is that being in a container, it's not being able to grow to its fullest potential. But with regards to my breadfruit being in the air pruning system, um, I talked to someone who's been growing breadfruit their whole life for the past 60 to 70 years, and they said they've never seen breadfruit, or not that they never seen it grow this fast, but it's extremely uncommon my to see breadfruit start sending out leaves so quickly. And as you can see in this photo, this is actually the second set of leaves coming off of my breadfruit within the past 3 to 4 weeks. So usually, supposedly, don't quote me on it, but from what I was told, it usually takes longer. Breadfruit is a very slow growing tree, but with the individual I talked to, he is extremely impressed with the speed at which it's growing and moving along. I believe it's attributed to the Walmart grow bag that you can see here. So really happy with the air pruning results. The amaranth also is air pruned, believe it. If you guys don't remember, or yeah. So and towards the end of the video, we're gonna talk about a new addition to the family that has also been air pruned or is air pruning currently. But yeah, really excited to see how well this breadfruit's gonna do in the Walmart shopping bag, and so far it's doing extremely well. All right, moving on. Here we have black zucchini. Extremely disappointed with this guy. Probably gonna pull him out once again. It could be because there's been too much rain, a little bit colder during the wet season, and could be it. This guy bounced back. There were actually 4 plants in this pot, and this guy somehow found the strength to come back. They were all dying off. So, not sure if I want to keep going with the zucchini. Could have been the wrong season to start it, like I said, but just really not happy with the results. So, still deciding if I want to pull this guy out or not. So, maybe if you guys plead for his life, maybe I'll save him and let him go and see what happens. But as of right now, I'm thinking I might uproot this guy and put something in there that I know will survive and thrive. All right, moving along. Now this one really shocked me. This is bok choy, and I've never actually no one in my family that has lived on this property has ever been able to grow bok choy. And of course, it's a water issue. It's a soil quality issue. The soil here is pretty much pure adobe, but my family is blown away that I've been able to propagate and grow bok choy. This is a dwarf variety, so not as big as the usual bok choy you can find in the stores, but really happy with the results. And here's a shot of the leaf. Really sweet, really delicious. Like Swiss chard, I used to hate bok choy. I hated it. I hated it in soups. I hated it in salads. I just hated it. And I took a cutting of this a few nights ago and made a small salad with some leaves from my Swiss chard plant. Extremely delicious. In fact, I wanted to have seconds, but I didn't want to go out and pick any more. So quite lazy that night, so didn't get to enjoy the deliciousness as much as I wanted to. But I'm really happy with the results. Now moving along, I am having a problem with the caterpillars coming back. Now that we are transitioning out of the wet season, the caterpillars, will start coming back, and that means that I need to get myself in gear and start not propagating, but developing and making my organic pesticide with my pepper plants. So yeah, hopefully that will keep the caterpillars at bay. I've been noticing a lot of I guess as you can see, a lot of eating of the leaves, but also a lot of seeds being laid by the moths that basically spawn the caterpillars. So hopefully within the next couple weeks, I'll be able to test my first batch of organic pesticide, which is made from the hottest chili pepper I can find and a special type of soap and garlic. Apparently, they don't like this. If they eat it, they might die. Trying to stay away from things like BT and whatnot because I'm trying to keep it as natural as possible. But if the organic pesticide doesn't work, or the homemade organic pesticide doesn't work, I might just go back to the BT to keep these guys at bay. So we'll see what happens over the next couple weeks. Alright, moving along. This is another new addition to the family, and this is a soursop tree. So my father has been wanting a soursop tree for a very long time. The the fruit provides a juice that is extremely delicious and supposedly extremely nutritious as well. I was able to find this for a very sweet deal. I believe it was $10 for this little seedling. I think it's propagated from cuttings. I'm not too sure, but whatever. I was able to get it, so that made me happy. And the downside is that this tree will take about 3 to 5 years to grow. I mean, usually trees take that long, but I was hoping to maybe get it to propagate faster. But from what I'm told, it's usually about 3 to 5 years until it starts providing fruit. And if you can see here, moving along, I have a strange type of grow bag. I have this guy growing in, and this is actually a bag I sold myself. So sold myself. So I went to Walmart and they were all out of bags. Not sure if the rain gutter grow system is and the kiddie pool system is gaining popularity here in Hawaii, but all the bags were cleaned out. So being that I didn't want to feel like I wasted my gas, I said, you know what, let me try and see if I can make my own bag. And Larry recommended a type of material. And I went there and I was looking at the material and it just didn't seem like it would hold up to the elements. So I asked about outdoor fabrics and they took me to the outdoor fabrics and basically it was just plastic. And so I was looking around and then I remembered, when I used to have a punching bag, it used to be made out of canvas. And it was outside for years. Years. And it took about maybe 5 or not even 5, maybe 6 years for the bag to disintegrate. And basically not even disintegrate, just become structurally weak enough to basically break open and let the sand come out. So I asked them if they had any canvas. Sure enough, they had canvas. Picked up a yard, took it home, cut it to size, sewed it up, and what you see here is a grow bag. Now hopefully this will hold up for at least a couple months. Not too sure if it will, but it's extremely durable so far. It absorbs water, I want to say absorbs water. Yeah, I could say in a very excellently. So it is cotton, so of course it's gonna absorb water, but it is extremely breathable. So I'm excited to see if this can function as a substitute for Walmart grow bags. We'll see what happens over the next couple months, and we'll see how well the soursop does in it. If it is successful, then I'll be making more of these guys. Alright, moving along. So we're just taking a shot here of my sprouts that I have going. Some of them you've seen before. I've just not been putting them into the system. As you can see on the right hand side over here, we do have the kale still going. Really disappointed with the I believe this the tree collards. I'm sorry, not kale, tree collards. They're taking an extremely long time to root. Maybe the way John Cullen explained it is basically you take the cuttings and you put them in the ground and you let them go. It's not been working like that. I'm thinking you actually need to root these guys like you would with like tree cuttings and whatnot, where you need the rooting hormone. Not too sure, but they haven't died. They just haven't started rooting yet. So I want to just let them do their thing, and hopefully they can bounce back. Now moving along, as you can see here, This is, well, it's kind of blurry, but this is actually another katuk cutting. And basically, what I did was took the cutting and wrapped some, I guess you could say, some bag twine, or I'm not sure exactly what it's called, bag twisties. Somebody help me out here. But basically, I took that, wrapped it around, and basically straddled it over the sides, and held the twisty in place with some duct tape. And I actually learned this from John Cullen's video. So shout out to John Cullen for a great idea. But basically, yeah, supposedly this is how you root katuks. And what I have in the water is actually some azomite just to give it some additional nutrition. And I might be from time to time adding in there some of my bacterial cultures just to help do what it needs to do. Specifically with the the worm tea. So we'll see what happens there. All right, moving along. Now, one of my viewers, I believe it's Nikon Mother, suggested I look into growing comfrey as a companion plant for my fruit trees that I plan to grow and that are growing on my property. So after some research for about a day, I was completely sold on comfrey. Not only is it an excellent companion plant for fruit trees because of the nutrition it supplies to the fruit trees or any type of tree in general, but it is also an excellent medicinal plant to have. Um, right now, I have about, I want to say, as you can see in this last photo, let me pull that up. I have about, I want to say 10 or 15 of these guys going. I ordered 10 rootstocks, cut them down, and planted the ones that were already sprouting next to the breadfruit tree, the avocado tree, and different trees around the property to get them going. And once these guys start sprouting, I believe one of them is starting to start send up leaves. Is starting to send up leaves, and hopefully we'll start getting these guys around the property and get them going. So I can just have a constant supply once they are established. So going back to this photo, yeah. So I did actually two. I planted these guys two different ways. So in this photo, you can see I planted them upright, sticking out of the ground, and in other pot or other net cups, I actually planted them lying down. Some of them made it, some of them didn't make it. So basically, I'm assuming it doesn't really matter how you plant these guys because both styles have produced plants that are have produced cuttings that are rooting and are starting to come up. So excited to see what's going to happen with these guys over the next couple weeks. I really want to get them into the ground because we are transitioning into the hot season, and supposedly they like it damp and shaded. So we'll see what happens. Like I said. All right, moving on. As you can see, we have a whole squadron of net cups here, and on the right hand side, we actually have some lemons going. I'll talk about them when I highlight the photo. To the left of them, we have something called moringa, and to the left of that, at the far left, I have no idea what this is, but yeah, I'll talk about it when we get to that photo. So moving along. So as you can see here, we have about, I want to say 20 net cups filled with some lemon seeds I got from the lemons I bought from Whole Foods. So from time to time I make something called limoncello, and basically in the past I used to discard the fruit and discard everything because I only needed the zest. I didn't need anything else. I had no use for lemon juice or lemon seeds. And then after that, I said, you know what? I don't want to be so wasteful. I started saving the lemon juice, and basically that's how I add some refreshing flavor to my water every now and then, just to give it that little zing of lemon, like adding lemon to your water in restaurants and whatnot. But then I started throwing away the seeds because I said, basically I got nothing to do with this, and or I have nothing I can use this for, and I don't think it would grow. So uh, a few, actually, I want to say sometime last year, I said, you know what, let me do an experiment. and try and grow these guys from seeds because lemons are expensive. If I can get these guys going, I'll have, not only a source of lemons, but because I make limoncello, I'll have hundreds of seeds on hand at a time, and I can just basically, at least I'll know I can propagate the plants. So I did an experiment using the soil from around the house, and believe it or not, they grew. I had a 100% success rate for germination with all the seeds I planted. Now, keep in mind, I was using organic lemons from Whole Foods. I wasn't using the type of lemons you find at your normal supermarkets. I was told to stay away from those, so I had a 100, like I said, I had a 100% success rate for germination with the seeds I got from Whole Foods. But because the soil was terrible and I wasn't keeping up with my watering and fertilization, 90% of those plants died. So I traded a few of them on a local bartering forum I'm a part of, and I had two left. And what I did was I planted those directly into the ground, and I'm happy to say they're doing extremely well. They're still quite small, but citrus does take a while to grow. But I reassured myself that it is extremely easy to propagate these guys from seed. So now my next step is to see how well these guys will do with the net cup germination, as well as how some of them will do in the rain gutter grow system and the modified kiddie pool systems as well. Granted, citrus don't like too much water, but like Larry always says, basically do it for yourself, see what happens, because just because someone says it doesn't work doesn't mean it won't work in the rain gutter grow system or kiddie pool system. So once these guys start sprouting, I'm going to start putting them around different places, different systems, and see if we can get more lemon trees on the property. Alright, moving along. In this photo that you can't see because they're hiding, or I'm sorry, you can't see the seeds because they're hiding, this is moringa. So like Katuk, John Collins recommended moringa plants or moringa trees because they are just powerhouses of nutrition, super duper powerhouses of nutrition. So one thing I learned about these plants is that they're actually easy to grow, extremely easy to grow, and once you get them going, they grow extremely fast. So really excited to see how well these guys are gonna do. I'm probably gonna keep one or two of them in the rain gutter grow system because I do have about 21 additional seeds. So once these guys get going, I want to see the germination rate. If we are successful with these four, I will be seeding the other 21 seeds. Probably keep one or two of them in the rain gutter grow system, most probably one, and the other ones I will be seeding into the ground. And basically, guys, if you can grow this plant, you need to grow this plant. If you didn't know, or if you don't know, do more research on it. They're actually using this to supply nutrition to people who are extremely malnourished in third world countries, and it works great. Not sure how it tastes. I heard it tastes like, well, I can't say that, but I heard it tastes not too good. But you can also dehydrate the leaves and make it into a powder that you can add to your smoothies or whatnot. And here's another thought I was thinking about, guys. I could also add this to my worm bin because it's such a powerhouse of nutrition. So I'm gonna do some experiments and see how well the worms like it once it is starting to propagate and put out foliage. And if they do like it, then hey guys, if you can grow this, you basically got a worm supplement. Like a green powder supplement for worms if you can dehydrate it and powder or grind it up with a coffee grinder. So excited to see what's gonna happen with these guys. I did just plant them today, so we'll see how long they take to germinate. And moving along, just found this on the. I was at a park and I found these on the ground, growing on the ground. I am in desperate need of a ground cover. I need to start getting this ground cover going because every time we cut down the grasses behind the house, they just grow back with a vengeance. They are a type of buffalo grass, so they are extremely hard to get rid of, but it's not necessarily getting them out of the ground. It's more so that, what I'm learning with cover crops is that the reason why weeds, quote unquote weeds and grasses like buffalo grass grow in these places is because Mother Earth or nature or however you want to view it is, trying to fill the void there. Something is wrong, so it is putting in these plants to fill the void. So now that I look at it, I don't see the grasses per se as evil weeds trying to come in and make life hard for me. But they're just filling in the void until I can put something in there that's gonna cover the ground. So I really, really wanted to experiment with perennial peanut. So I'm gonna be having some of that shipped to me hopefully soon. But while I was at the park, I just noticed this ground cover growing under a tree, and I said, let me just pull it up and see what I can do with it. So if anyone can identify this, I know the photo is kind of small, but if anyone can identify what this is and let me know, I'd greatly appreciate it. And hopefully, we can get these guys to start propagating. I'll basically just go back to the park and pull more of them up and just start transplanting them behind the house to help act as a ground cover to retain what topsoil we do have left. And basically, that's the video today, guys. Sorry if it was so long, but I wanted to give you a detailed look at the progress. Upcoming, I guess you could say upcoming news or upcoming experiments, whatever. I will, like I said, be trying to get in some perennial peanut to hopefully establish as a ground cover. I will be picking up a new type of plant called Okinawa spinach. Can't think of the scientific name right now, but I'm pretty sure if you Google Okinawan spinach, you will you'll get a good idea of what it is. Also, I'm starting to propagate more. I didn't have it in the video, but I will be propagating more red Malabar and green Malabar spinach. And so far, no additional news on my worm bins yet. I think it's about time to harvest. The bedding has actually reduced about, I want to say about 1/8 of its size, and they're pretty well digested. So I'm probably gonna start sorting those guys out and getting them into new bedding. I will highlight this in a new worm bin video that I do, but I'm gonna do an experiment with shredded leaves as the primary source of bedding to see if I can have a cheaper alternative um, to the coconut coir, because it does get quite expensive. But even if I'm unsuccessful, I'll probably stick with the coconut coir. And as far as the behind the house video goes, I'm gonna be working on that hopefully within the next week or 2 weeks. It's just gonna be a quick highlight of what I'm doing, or what I plan to do, and show you what we have going on back there so far. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, sorry it was so long, but don't forget to comment and subscribe below. If you have any questions, just send me a message, or you can actually just comment and tag me in it, and I'll try and respond to your question as soon as possible. Alright guys, thanks. Hope you have a wonderful day, and yeah, keep growing.